Hi, I'm Russ Wilson. Today we're going to go fluke fishing. Let's go catch some.
Salt and Sea Sportsman, a saltwater adventure dedicated to the sport and bounty of the sea. Travel with noted sportsmen to different fishing capitals in search of exciting ocean angling. Today, Russ Wilson, author of the weekly column The Tackle Doctor and outdoor editor for 6 newspapers, will share his secrets for fluke fishing. Considered by many to be the finest eating of the inshore species, the fluke or summer flounder is a chameleon, capable of changing its coloration to blend into the ocean floor, waiting for its next meal. Join us 1/2 mile off the New Jersey coast as the Salt and Sea Sportsman goes on location.
You really don't need a lot of equipment or anything to get into fluke fishing. Any medium weight spinning or casting rod that's rated to handle lines of up to, say, 12-pound test. Spinning is probably best for the first timer. Once you gain a little expertise, bait casting tackle is better, certainly the conventional style reels. But I think you get yourself one outfit, learn how to use it. When you go out in the morning, I really think mornings are best for fishing. There's not a lot of boat traffic yet, and the fish are generally in shallower water. You bring your bait. Generally, if you're going to fish for fluke, you should have some live killies, some spearing, some squid, and maybe some sand eels. Those are the 4 prime baits.
I just took care of that.
Well, where we're fishing right now is the north end of Spring Lake, and this is all mussel beds down here. And it holds a lot of fish. What it does, the mussels and all, they draw the bait fish, and then, of course, the bait fish draw the fluke. And generally, there's some bigger fish here. It's kind of surprising today. We're not seeing any of them really big fish. I started writing around 1975, and this may be a good fish here. Actually, it's a very good fish. Jimmy, can you kind of get that net? I think this might be the one we wanted. I thought it was a better fish than that, but it's decent anyhow. Now, see this one, you see how dark this fish is? He's got a mark on him. Something hit him. He may have even been hit by a net when he was coming in from offshore. But this one is over more of a mussel bed. The spots are more pronounced, and the fish is darker. The reason it's white, of course, is they lay on the bottom. And when a bait comes by, they swim up and they grab it and they eat it. They do have sharp teeth. They don't show too well here, but if you put your finger in there, it'll come back bloody. See the teeth on them? They're every bit as bad as a bluefish. They're just not as big, but they are just as bad. They'll do a job on your finger. Jim, let me see how much. Excuse me 1 second. Let me just see how much water depth we got here. Yeah, see, we were in about 26 foot. We weren't really. There's an awful lot of grass there, Jim. I'll just get us back on that set, though. Just deeper.
That one house there.
Anyone wanting to go fluke fishing right now cannot do much better than what they'll find right here at the Jersey Shore. The Manasquan River, where we are today, Shark River, Barnegat Bay, Sandy Hook Bay, Raritan Bay, Great Bay down to the south, Delaware Bay, and our inshore waters anywhere from Sandy Hook to Cape May and out to about water depths of maybe 50 feet are just full of fluke this year. There are days when I come out here late in the season, toward the end of November, there may be only 2 or 3 other boats on the whole water, on the ocean, and very relaxing. There's one. Now this one here, it feels decent, but it's probably going to be another one of those 14 inches. Yeah, you see that's, ooh. Yeah. Now see that one there is, actually it's 13.5 inches. It's just under the legal size. They have to be 14. So when you cut your strip baits, they're nice and white from the tail to the tip. And when you cut them, you try to taper them like a pendant so that they're maybe a ½ inch wide at one end and they taper down to a point at the other. In the water, that lighter end flaps nice. It flutters. So that's what you're looking for with your baits. You want them to appeal to the fish. And the neater you cut them, the more attractive they're going to be. I see people that go out and they'll use a bait like that that's all uneven. It just doesn't make it. The right bait always comes to a point, and it always has a square at the other end, so it doesn't spin when it's in the water. If you were to cut the bait like this and go to hook it on, that corner up front will make the bait spin, and it doesn't look natural to the fish. So if you have a piece of squid like that, at least go to the trouble to square it off so it's nice and even. And I try to avoid the real thin pieces if I can at all, because they don't have much smell. You get along these edges where you can see through it, that's not a very good bait. The thicker, with the white part, that's the best. One of my favorites, and we just started using this within the last year, is a spinning glow bead with the #1 octopus style hook. This is a mustad hook. Has an upturned eye. And you can't buy these. You have to make them yourself. You can buy the spinner, which is a spinning glow, and the little beads, you can buy them at any tackle shop, and the hooks you buy loose. What we generally do, we'll take a piece of squid like that, and we'll put the hook in maybe a ¼ inch into the strip so that it lays back nice and straight, and then the spinner will lay down against it. Now in the water, this thing spins like crazy, and it does attract fish. Generally in water that's less than 20 feet deep, I have what they call a bucktail rig, and it's a high-low rig. You use 2 lures at once, and again, I like that 1/0 hook. I kind of stick with that for most inshore fluke fishing. People have been brainwashed into thinking that you need a big hook to catch these fish. But in reality, a small hook like that bites better, and it grips better, and it doesn't come out of the fish's mouth so easy. They're also razor sharp, so that when you do set the hook into them, the fish is stuck. Now, this rig here does not work in deep water or when there's a fast drift. But if you're inshore, say up to 25 or 30 feet of water without a lot of wind, this would be in place of a sinker. This you would tie direct to your line. You would have the bucktail with hair on it and a trailer hook. Now, you put a strip of squid on this and a strip of squid and a live killie on the tail hook, and this acts as your sinker. It also acts as a tractor. Some days you'll get the fish on this, some days you'll get them on the other one, some days you'll get them on both. That is a very effective rig, one of the best I've ever used, and I've been using it for about 30 years. Okay, well today we're using a squid and killie combination, and the reason we're doing that, there isn't a very fast drift, so the killie swims around a little bit and pulls the bait with him. It gives it a more natural appearance. There are times when we use just a strip bait too, But the killies, they're not natural in the ocean, but they move nice, and the fluke looked for a moving bait. I thought we would see some bigger fluke down in here, but we haven't yet. We've had a lot that are 14 or 14 and a half inches. They're legal. But by the time you clean one that size, there ain't that much on it. There's another one. That's probably 13 and a half inches long. It's a half inch short of being legal. But it's a good sign. When there's a lot of them like that, you know you'll have fish in the future. When you're going to use a strip bait, say a strip of sea robin or a fluke belly or a squid or whatever it might be, you put that on the hook first, and you put it on, if it's a strip of fish, you put the hook through the meat first and out of the skin, so that the skin is actually upside down. And then you put your live bait on top of it, or whether it be a live killie or a spearing or a smelt or a sand eel. By having the strip bait on the bottom, you never hide the actual bait. If you put the other bait on first and then the strip bait, you hide the live bait. And if it's a killie and it's trying to swim, it'll drown because it's got over its face, the strip. The biggest fluke I ever caught, about 10 and a half pounds. I caught it up on the Deal Rocks, which is a good spot for bigger fish. It's a very rough bottom, and those big fish like that. We get a lot of fish that are 5 and 6 pounds, though. The last few years have been a good run of them. They can be wounded very easily, Fluke. You have to remove the hook careful and just drop them back in. Don't throw them. If you throw them, you'll kill them. I've been fishing for about 50 years. I started, my father got me into freshwater fishing. We started with trout, and of course sunnies and perch and calico bass and small fish in the freshwater ponds. And then when I was around 10, I started tying trout flies and got into fly fishing more and more. And then around 14 or 15, I started fishing the ocean and got hooked immediately. Bigger fish, more excitement. We fished on the jetties. I get out about 3 days a week. What we normally do, I write for about 7 newspapers, so I try to get out Tuesdays and Fridays, and once in a while on a Thursday. Generally, I can't get out on a Monday because that's one of the busier days. Anybody who works in newspapers, Monday is a busy day. The rest of the week, you can kind of move around a little bit. That might be bluefish. Yeah, that could be. There's been a lot of bluefish along the beach in the last week and a half. Big blues, too. Some of them like 8 to 14 pounds. Very big bluefish. Just take your knife. There's a line that goes up the center of the fluke. You take your knife and you follow that line, and using a sawing motion, you go right to the end of the fillet, and you're following the bones that this bone cage here. And you get to the front, you lift the fillet up, you take your knife from the other side now, and you just follow the bones again, right down across the whole fish. You take the fillet off like that. They have a fillet with no bones in it. You flip the fish over, And using the same principle, make a cut here, a cut at the tail, and just take your knife, follow the bone right up, and using a sawing motion, you lift this out. And again, you'll have the ridge bone, which marks the center of the fish. You just lay your knife in there and run it right across, and then down that side, and you come out with two perfect fillets. Now, a lot of people, when they go to skin these fish, they try to cut them in four, but if you just do it this way, just use a sawing motion, and what you're doing, you're running it right along between the skin and the meat, and your fillet comes off like that. Now there's still about 5 or 6 bones on the fillet. So you make an angle cut like this, you take out the rib bones, and if you feel the fillet right here, you'll feel that there's about 2 or 3 bones there. Just take the knife, cut a little notch, and they're gone. That's the fillet. Perfect, no more bones. I rinse them off to get any of the blood or scales away from them, and that's ready to eat. Now you take the other side of the fish, and you go the same route between the skin and the meat. A lot of guys use a fork to hold it down. I've always used my thumb, but if you find that it's too slippery, use a fork or an ice pick. Hold it down. When you get the fillet done, again on that angle, you cut away the rib cage, and you'll have those couple bones there again. Just make a little notch, and then you have a fillet that has no bones. Fluke, it should take you about 1 minute to clean a fish if you're doing it right. Then if you want, you can pull the fillets apart. You still have the 4 pieces that everybody kind of seems to end up with Fluke, but it's faster. I'll do one more and then we'll skin the others. It is slippery. You know, this knife has kind of a flexible blade. You want it to be flexible so it'll slide along the bones. If you use a knife like this, which has a stiff blade, the comparison, that won't ride along the rib cage, and you'll waste a lot of the meat. Fluke bite different than most fish. They kind of grab the bait in their mouth, and they hang on. So what you do when you feel one, some days, like I have one right away here now, but some days you kind of pull the line to you. Drop that one. You pull the line to you and they feed harder. Other days you have to drop it back to them to give them a chance to swallow it. It's more or less a matter of feeling, something to get used to. You can just let it lay there, and sometimes they'll swim along with it and they'll swallow it. But if you have a little one and he swallows it, you end up you mortally wound them, and they're going to die. I'd rather miss a few by hooking them early than to let them swallow it. So I hook them very quick, almost as soon as I feel them hit. Everybody is different. Everybody has a different system. I think that one might have got the bait, and I missed him right away. Jimmy, can you get me a killie? It's time that we had a bigger fish.
Oh, look at the bluefish here. Look at this. Whoa.
Breaking all over? Oh, yeah. Yep. Well, there they are. I'm surprised. You know, Pete probably has diamond jigs on his boat.
Look at that. Yeah.
They'll come here. They're on bunker.
They can get some.
Yeah, they're chasing bunker right now. Look at that one, Jim. Why don't you just pull him in and spare the king? He's look at him right here, right next to the boat.
I wonder if that's what I got. Let's get the.
Whoa, that one bit it off.
Let's get the plate.
I'll get your other rod. Yeah, mine just bit. Oh, every bit of it.
Yeah, that's a good night.
Where's this line? There's a fish on here. I thought you said he bit it. You know what he did? No, he turned. That's what he did. Go ahead. Just change positions.
That's the Hopkins, brand new Hopkins. Fuck, half ounce, 3/4 ounce. I don't want to lose it.
This is a very big bluefish, Jim.
Yeah, I know.
We were fishing here for Fluke, and a school of bluefish come through, and they just picked up the Fluke baits. And these are pretty big blues. They're probably 10 or 12 pound fish at least. I'm sure this is a lot more than 6. I'm going to bring him up to the top. Chances are he's going to bite that. But here he comes up. Get a shot at it.
Got him. Yep.
Oops. Watch the rod. He'll come. Just we let him take his time. He'll be tired. He may not bite it. He's outside of it. Yeah. Let me get him up. Don't get him deep. Got him? You know?
He got underneath the boat there.
Watch that gap. Watch the gap. All right, now he's coming up. Right underneath.
There it is.
That's it.
There he is.
And let me see. Yeah, he's all at 12 pounds.
See, that's
maybe a little bit better. That's a nice bluefish.
Here's an easy way to prepare your fluke that can be cooked either on the grill or in the oven. Start by first slicing the vegetables, and then on a piece of tin foil, begin by placing down a layer of onions. Then add some celery, some tomatoes, green peppers, mushrooms, and the carrots. Then place the fillet on top of the vegetables. Now place another round of vegetables on top of the fish fillet. Once again using the onions, celery, tomatoes, green peppers, mushrooms, and carrots. Put the garlic on top along with the juice of half a lemon. Place a few pats of butter or margarine on the top. Add 2 tablespoons of wine and 1/2 teaspoon of dried tarragon. With another piece of tin foil, seal up the fish and vegetables tightly. Then bake them at 350 degrees for 25 minutes. When done, slice open the top of the foil and serve the fish and vegetables over rice for a simple and complete meal. It's easy to do, and it makes its own sauce, too. Distributed along the coastal waters along the eastern United States, the fluke or summer flounder is found from the shallows to relatively deep waters from Massachusetts to South Carolina. Georgia and Florida feature the southern flounder. In the ocean, fluke are found in deeper waters of 25 to 50 fathoms during the early fall to late spring. During the summer months, fluke frequent shallower waters. The fluke is believed to spawn in late winter to early spring, depending upon geographic location. Fluke also frequent the sandy and muddy bottoms of bays and rivers, preferring the shallower waters in late spring and early fall seasons. Fluke move into channels and deeper water during the heated days of summer.
It's a great sport. I think if I hadn't gotten into fishing, I'd probably be a different person. I enjoy it. And I started writing because I enjoyed fishing, and I seen so many people that didn't really know how to fish that I thought maybe I could help them. And that's what I've tried to do.
Located 30 miles south of New York Harbor, the Manasquan River and its surrounding ocean waters offer the fluke angler a variety of opportunities worth checking out. Current conservation laws are being credited with the rebound of fluke stocks, and minimum sizes and catch limits will assure a strong future for this mainstay of many inshore fishing fleets. Our thanks to Russ Wilson for his insight and expertise. Look for more informative saltwater fishing adventures in upcoming segments of Salt and Sea Sportsman.